For our current UnitsPro users, I'd like to take a quick demonstration of our new and enhanced time entry and production entry app. For our future users, after this presentation, we'll go through 2 additional ones to give you some additional information on the added capabilities of the app and a second one on the main system. So let's get right to this. Using an Android phone, enter the credentials for a foreman, and we log in. Log in, we see what is available for this person's role. As I said, other roles, general foreman, project managers, etc., have additional roles and capabilities, but we're looking at timesheets. So let's jump right into this. And here's one of the biggest differences from the current system to the new system. In the current system, everything is job-centric. Now it's foreman and by day centric. So if we want to go in and do time entry for Monday, it brings in all the jobs that this foreman has assigned to them. So these are active jobs assigned to this foreman. These are active jobs not assigned to this foreman that can be selected if they get assigned temporarily or reassigned to a project. And then overhead jobs for tracking non-productive downtime due to weather, safety training, etc. Whatever your organization uses, we can track those. So going back here, we're going to assume that this foreman is going to work on 2 jobs. We're going to pick a job that we know to be a T&E job, and then we have this sample units job we built for this demonstration, and we're going to also work on that one today. So those are our 2 jobs we've selected. We go next. It brings in our crew roster. Again, this is another change from the current app where we now have our crew members, our equipment, and our rental equipment all on one tab. And here the intent is to define your roster, make sure this is what you have. We can go ahead and inactivate a person and say why they're inactive, where are they, what's going on. Is this a permanent change to the crew or just a temporary change the crew? Put that back. We're going to add a crew member. The same with our equipment. We can inactivate the equipment and say why. We can add equipment. And then UnitsPro also allows you to track your rental equipment. So if you're not putting your rental equipment into your internal system, we can add it into UnitsPro and track it this way. Once you're satisfied that your roster is correct, you go next. And what just happened was that information was saved and sent into UnitsPro proper so that now we can develop roster reports. So if your owner requires daily or weekly roster reports, we now capture that information. It's available in the UnitsPro roster transaction, or we can further assimilate it and then generate a report to send to the customer with that report in the proper format and context as required by that owner. So now we're going to take a look at our time entry. Here's our T&E job and here's our units job. And we can change the order if we actually do this one first. We can get in here and add more jobs. If your organization requires that meals be tracked, we have the ability to add meal tracking down here. Currently I have it turned off for the demo. The start and end times are presented. Again, this is configurable. If your organization doesn't need that information, we can hide it. But if it is required, we have it here. So we're going to go ahead and work on this job for 5 hours today. And we're going to work on the units job for 6. So I've entered that. And now we need to go next. What it's doing down here is it's loading our complete work module. So it's going to take us into that units job where we need to complete work for the day before we can do our time entry. Again, this is configurable whether the crew has to do complete work as part of time entry or if it can be done at a later point in the process, either at the end of the job or weekly, again, whatever your organization's processes are. So here you can see our locations. the system doesn't load all locations. If a location is totally complete, it doesn't initially load, but you can click the button down here and bring in what's missing. Now let's go take a look at location 200 here. So now it's loading all of the units specified at location 200. I picked this one because it has a lot of units. And we can go through and complete the unit. Here's a planking unit, and this one was entered at 0 because the estimator expected that the crew would require planking for this job, but they didn't know how much, so they put a placeholder in here. So if we long hold on this, it brings up the ability for us to come in and say that we did 60 feet, and we're going to complete that. So now we've entered this in, and this is now processing a change order to this job. If we want to do this a little bit faster, we can click this checkbox, and if these are being completed as per the estimated quantities, just scroll right down. When we're done, check them off. We can apply comments if we desire. And now those are complete. If we've made an error, we can uncomplete. And these items can be uncompleted anytime until this unit is built. After it's been built, it's locked. So now you can see this location is a little better than 57% complete. We're satisfied with what we've done today, and we're going to continue along in our process. I should have noted there, we can also add units as they're picked up, and that's where you really pick up your added money, is that the foreman now can be picking up these change orders, hopefully on a daily basis, and picking up these change orders is allowing you to pick up revenue that you may have forgone in the past. So now what we've done is the system has calculated the split between straight time, overtime, and double time. This crew is assigned to work 4 10-hour days this week, so anything after 10 in a day gets transformed to overtime. We can modify this here if we so desire, but we're satisfied with this, so we'll go next. Now what it's doing is it's taking that time that we put in for each job and is parsing it to each crew member. So here's the foreman. You can see they have a per diem. This per diem value can be hidden. Per diem cannot be allowed, but per diem can be managed here. As well as if you're doing meals or other expenses, we can track those and report them through the app. We're satisfied with Mr. Ellis's time here. We'll go next. Here's the journeyman's time. Here's the apprentice's time. Now we're going to modify the apprentice here and say that he didn't get that overtime. So you can see what we're doing is we're taking the time, putting it in by crew, and then we're going through and manage by exception anything that's different to that. We can add a crew member here. We can remove this crew member here. We can zero out their time totally. If we make a mistake, we can reset it. Once we're satisfied that we have our member time correct, we go next, and that brings in all of our equipment. And here's our bucket truck, digger, pull trailer, and our pickup truck. So again, we can add equipment here. We can modify this equipment. We can zero it out. We can modify its time per job. Now when we go next, if we had any rental equipment, that would now show up. But since we don't, it just takes us straight into our time review. So this shows the time for the day and the per diem for the day. And here's for the week. This is the first day of the week. Down here is our equipment, and down here are comments for our jobs. If we're satisfied with this, we can go ahead and process it. If you want to look in more detail, you can open this up and see what jobs and how the per diem was being split between the jobs. If you want to see an individual timesheet for the week for that member, you can come in here, and the plus indicates that on Monday they worked 2 jobs. If we had additional time, you'd see it here. And then we have numerous reports available. that will render directly into PDF, and then the user, if they're tethered to a phone, or excuse me, to a printer via their phone, they can go ahead and print it, or they can email it. Once the form is satisfied, they submit their time. When we come back, we see that time is now submitted. As it goes through the process, it'll update to approved, and the foreman can get back in here and modify this day at any point until it's approved. Once it's approved, it's locked, and then they'll have to work with their supervisor to get it unlocked if they need to make subsequent changes. So that's a quick introduction to our new time entry. Hope it impresses you. We've put a lot of effort into it, and we're anxious to get our current users fully engaged in using this and getting our new users introduced to it. Thanks so much.